On today's episode of The Savvy Marketer, 30 years later, Shawshank Redemption remains the highest rated film on IMDb. How did it get made in North Central Ohio? We'll talk to Lee Tasseff, a savvy marketer who was in the room where it happened. We'll also learn how he was able to take the film's popularity and turn it into a long-running tourism product that continues to draw a steady stream of visitors from around the world today. But first, a marketing moment. All the classic textbooks will tell you that the 4 P's of marketing are product, place, promotion, and price. But when people use the word marketing today, I think they put a lot of extra emphasis on promotion. The advertising, the promotional strategy, the way that people get the word out for the thing that they're trying to sell. But marketing starts with targeting the right people and then designing products that fit the needs of those people. Products are not just for people who put a product in a box and ship it. Whether you're selling a service or a solution or an experience, take time to make those things into products. Think about the needs of the people that you're trying to serve and then design something that bundles a lot of valuable things into one specific product that makes a specific promise for people. When you do this well, the value of that bundled product can have far more value than the individual parts that go into it. And that is your marketing moment. Today's guest is one of my very first friends in North Central Ohio when my wife and I first moved here 20 years ago. He has made an immeasurable impact on the community that he serves through tourism marketing. His name is Lee Tasseff, and he's the president of Destination Mansfield, Richland County. Lee, welcome to the show.
Hey, nice to be here.
So tell us first, what do you do at Destination Mansfield?
My title is president, but it could be just about anything. We're just a small operation of 4 people. I set the budgets, I greenlight projects, and make sure everything's running, and most of the time help and then stay out of the way of my staff.
Lee, we go way back, and so I want to start with 3 rapid fire questions for you. So first of all, number of years you've worked in the travel and tourism industry?
I'm in year 38.
38. And where did you start, just out of curiosity?
Canton. It was a Canton Stark County Convention Bureau.
Good. Number of years you've been promoting tourism specifically in Mansfield, Richland County?
Year 33.
33. So
I know. That's bizarre. Very bizarre to me.
And I figured this out in advance. I'm going to put you on the spot. Number of years we've known each other?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's 19. We either go back to 03 or 02, which would be 20 years.
Yeah, I think it was late 2003.
Okay.
When you hired me to my first job in North Central Ohio.
I know, it's partly my fault.
That's right.
Well, I told you that back then, we follow talent. So when you departed Appleseed and went on your own thing, we followed you. We've done that with our designers and other people we've run into over the course of time. If you wonder part of how we do what we do, we will follow the talent. If they branch off, we go with them. It's kind of like if you get somebody like cutting your hair, you follow them. Wherever they're going, you're doing the same thing. Yeah,
well, and I think it's noteworthy what you're talking about there, that whenever you've been in a seminar that we've done or whatever, I always have to point out that Lee and Destination Mansfield was Spire's very first client. So you hired me to build a website, and then you made a lot of referrals early on that helped us kind of get things going.
Happy to do it. We hadn't believed in what you knew how to do because you were a small business marketer. We acted like small business marketers that grew bigger. It kind of was a perfect fit.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm excited to talk about a few things today. First of all, you've seen a lot of changes with tourism marketing over the years. 33, you said, in Mansfield, and 38.
That was think of the dark ages last century. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to unpack that. Okay. I also think you've got close proximity to one of, in my opinion, Hollywood's greatest films ever made. There's a really cool story there that we'd love to tell. And then finally, just the way you've been able to package some experiences that help you with marketing. And I think that's going to appeal not just to people that are in tourism marketing, but also to marketers in general. Okay. So there's a lot to cover today.
Yeah, keep me focused.
Sounds good. So first of all, what is the biggest way that you've seen tourism marketing change over the years?
I think it's with all marketers. The biggest thing is every time somebody invents something new, You can't discard the old. All the promises of, oh, if you do digital, you don't have to worry about print. Wrong. Anytime somebody invents a new social media channel, you can forget. No, because there's still a whole group of people devoted to whatever it was.
Yes.
So you just keep adding on and adding on and adding on. I think the thing that helped us was it's just another tool. Don't get worried about, what you don't know.
Yeah.
Because we didn't quite understand social media when it first hit. We took our time, but all my best advice from people I trusted was know your message, strategize, plot it out. It looks like it's off the cuff, but a lot of times it's not. You can do those things, but get it right first and don't do it wrong. Don't jump in with both feet. Learn it, study it, move, go, then do it right.
I totally agree. And I recently posted something about the idea of don't oversteer. That I feel like there's always these clickbait headlines that say, such and such platform is going to blow up everything, and really there's always time. There's always time to adapt to these things and figure it out.
I think managing the vast amount of stimuli that's coming at you constantly, or where to learn or where to look, I think that's been the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Once you find the voices you trust that are usually pretty good, and some of them are see out into the future, you start to follow them and realize you don't have to know everything. You just have to know what it does.
Sure.
And then hire the right people to make sure that happens. Some things never change because the thing we're selling, which I think was something you're going to ask me anyway, it's about the experience.
Yeah.
How do you make somebody feel something? They want to do something else. They don't want to sit at home. They want to go somewhere else, and everywhere else is different.
Yeah, and you guys have created some amazing experiences. And the one that I want to lay some groundwork with first starts with this film that I mentioned. So
yeah, Shawshank.
You've had close proximity to, in my opinion, one of the best Hollywood films that's ever been put out. And you...
Thankfully. Yes. Very. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the film and the experience that you had with it.
You go way back. I got a call from the Film Commission for the state of Ohio that said, I'm bringing in 3 people, meet me at the new prison, which took the place of the old prison.
Yeah.
And we're going to tour.
What year was this?
This was, 30 years ago.
Okay.
March of 93.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was director Frank Darabont and executive producer David Lester and Terry Marsh, who was the set designer, and Nikki Marvin, who was his other producer. And they just wanted to see the reformatory. So Eve had it all set up, and off we went. Because she knew if something clicked, I'm the liaison to the community.
Yeah.
So we toured it. They left. They went down to visit the prison that ended up being, that Frank directed Green Mile at.
Okay.
Then I got a call and said, that's not going to work. If you can find me a warehouse to build a prison set, we'll bring you the movie. That's on Tuesday. This is Monday. We show up Tuesday. I get this call. I'm like, oh, my God. So Wednesday, I had to have somebody who owned a warehouse sitting in my office. So when he came strolling in, this was the producer. It's like they're going to negotiate. And it happened that quick.
Wow.
And the next thing he said was, my location manager will be in next week. He'll give you a call. So in less than 3 days, we get a movie coming. I have no idea what that means. And that this guy's coming and he's going to ask you a lot of questions. And so it took off from there.
And when you were bringing them in to see the prison, I mean, this was not yet a tourist attraction.
Oh, God, no. Birds were flying around. Snow was in there. Ice was in there. It was just bad. Paint was peeling. Good. But the director was literally climbed all over it like it was playground equipment. He couldn't get enough. He was mad. He was mad at the state for leaving it in this kind of disrepair. He's like, this place is beautiful. Why did they do this? But he liked it enough, and he said the main character in the movie is the prison. It sets the backdrop for everything.
Wow.
So you could see him working through scenes. Just he could picture things. And I think that's why we ended up getting it, because it fit everything.
So, I mean, it's possible this was before they'd cast a Morgan Freeman or a Tim Robbins. This is...
was the theater set first? No, I think they were on board.
Okay.
Well, we didn't know it, but I think they were on board because we learned it fairly shortly afterwards.
Yeah. Amazing. I think it's noteworthy one of the coolest things that you have hanging in your office now. Can you mention that?
Oh, the poster?
Yeah.
I've got an original poster from a premiere, which we helped bring back to Mansfield with the help and the leadership of Eve Lapola from the Film Commission. And they brought myself on stage and the mayor of Mansfield and the gentleman who ran the prisons, and we all got autographed posters. And the cool thing about it is because we all helped at the beginning, we all got our names in the credits in the movies.
That's right.
So I'm in the International Movie Database for the oddest of reasons.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun. It's like now my name is associated with the movie for all that time. And that poster is hanging, behind my desk in my office, still there.
I think the other thing that's really remarkable about this is how you've been able to turn it into something that wasn't just this really cool thing that happened in the 90s.
Sure.
But it's something that has continued to benefit tourism in the region.
Yeah.
And so can you talk about what you've been able to do with that?
We kept fielding calls randomly at first from people who wanted to find the prison. And they always called it Shawshank Prison. They didn't know their house state reformatory.
Yeah.
Because a year after the movie was filmed, it was officially turned over to a nonprofit group to save it. And they turned it into haunted house, museum. It's now a fascinating business. I mean, It really is a business. It makes its own money. It survives on its own, unlike other museums.
Sure.
It doesn't need subsidy. It can make its own money.
Yeah.
We had guy hitchhike from England just showed up at our front door. Hey, I want you to see the sights. Okay. We had people from Japan, Korea, New Zealand come over and find the prison. We eventually said, okay, we got to give these people an avenue. They got in it. They have an interest. They're massive fans. The movie did a slow burn and, I nominated for awards, didn't win any, but it got this major boost in video sales, video rentals, and it became the #1 rated movie in a national movie database, eventually surpassing the Godfather, and still remains that.
Yeah.
So it had this devoted following that you didn't know was there, that were that rabid. We come to find out when we did survey work in partnership with Ashland U for one of our events that it was termed a pilgrimage. People came, they had to come see the prison or the oak tree. They had to do it. Mm-hmm. So we just said, okay, we have to give them a place to go. So we created the Shawshank Trail. Then we created a website and a brochure and gave people driving directions on how to get the places. We created the website that you can find your own directions. But this whole thing was put yourself in your own scene. Whatever's your favorite scene, if it's the beginning where the warden comes down with the new fish are lined up, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can't crawl through the tunnel. You can see the tunnel. That prop is still there. If you want to go into the sit outside in your car outside of the cabin where the early scene where Andy's wife is fooling around, you can do that.
Yeah.
So our job, pull it all together. It was like a school project. We jumped into the Bureau minivan and drove the directions because one of my people is a specialist in motor coach, Jody, and doing itineraries. So she laid the whole thing out. We did it for a reunion of the filming, and that's when the light bulb went off. We're like, I go, do you know what you just did? And she's like, I created an itinerary for Bill. No, you just created a product. This has to be pulled together formally, and that's really how it got started.
Yeah.
It was the random people coming to find us, and then she had to pull together an itinerary. We're like, oh wow, this is doable.
Yeah. And
that was, a long time, almost 20 years ago. It's a thing we're known for the most. It's drawn people from all over the world. We've done interviews all over the world for things like that.
So you created an experience from the Shawshank movie that people could come and experience. And I think you've done something really interesting with creating a number of experiences that Mansfield, Richland County isn't just a place for Shawshank enthusiasts. It's also a place for a lot of other groups. Can you talk about some of the other experiences that you've created since?
We were a part of the founding of the Lincoln Highway Byway.
Yeah.
And so people can come in. It's like, I don't just drive on it. I actually, here's a roadside rest. Here's a marker. Here's those things. So you turn it into this mini product. Mm-hmm. We did the same for Appleseed. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were a part of, as were you, the Appleseed Outdoor Drama. Yeah. There are markers up. You can do all those things. There's historical markers, different places. You can now go out in the country and find trees and stuff. So it's like, okay, we'll package that. We did it with Haunted. Yes. We caught the wave of the 90s cable shows. They were all
ghost hunters.
And they came back to Mansfield 1, 2, 3 times. And then we added Malabar Farm and the Renaissance and the Bisman Building, which is the Brewer Hotel in Shawshank. So we had a lot of cross-marketing going on. Yeah. And they would mention it every time they did a show. Yeah, sure. So we created Haunted Mansfield.
Yeah.
a whole nother level. You can't get in the reformatory, but we already got you hooked. Here we give you something else to do. And then the cable shows came in and it blew up. All that notoriety brought in conventions that are now related to haunts, Parapsychon and some others, or like the Ghost Brothers, I think was the latest one that's come back multiple times. They look forward to doing this. And now there's whole kids things we've got with Buckeye Imagination Museum and the How Bird Sanctuary on the rise.
Yeah.
All these things are linked together with the carousel that has been there now for 30 years. You've got this whole niche we didn't have before. But the idea is find that interest, group enough things together. We call it connecting dots. And then creating a package for that somebody come in and do what they want with it. We give them multiple options. You stay in county and go wherever you choose and have a ball.
I think that what you've done with the reformatory is a microcosm for what you're doing in the community, in the region as a whole, because someone can go to the reformatory because they're a Shawshank fanatic, or they can go because they're a paranormal haunted enthusiast, or they can go because they just really like history. And there's different ways that you've connected the dots there, and you're doing it throughout the community to make connections with different groups.
It all ties together with the branding initiative. That's how do you get people to look at your community differently? Yeah. Because first you got to look at it differently. Like we always say we mass market to individual interests. We don't know what's catching. They don't know the Destination Mansfield exists. Yeah. We're okay with that. You just find what you find. And you guys taught us that with the first website. You could search it was internally like 256 different ways. I mean, that was in 2006. Yeah. It's bigger than that now. Yeah. So something catches your attention, brings you in. Every page is a landing page. We're now going to catch people's attention a whole different way because we know what our brand story is. We know what our voice is. Every community's got to compete every day for its share of workers, people, investment, capital, notoriety, you name it, whatever it is. And if you're not doing it because you don't have a brand, you're behind. Yes. You're not just, staring at them. They left you in the dust. Absolutely. So this is you're right, everything we know how to do in the tourism marketing world, applying it to the community brand, partnering with the chamber, because they're doing it in their talent recruitment, they're doing it in workforce development, all those kind of things. But the basic part of getting it noticed.
Well, it's harder than ever to get people's attention. I mean, there's so many things coming at them. And so the idea that you can just promote Mansfield and Richland County as a product by itself doesn't have enough specific appeal. I mean, no community would by itself. And so the idea that you're connecting it to the needs and the interests of the people is key. So looking ahead, what are some things that you're working on that you're most excited about?
Feeding the pipeline of imagery. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of money going out and getting award-winning photographers in particular, not just sending out people with iPhones. Yeah. It's like, no, these things have to be framed right. So we have put hundreds and hundreds of new images and still images, rather, into our archives. We shot a ton of videos last year. We're now in the process of editing them. We talked about that before I got here. It's like, another finishing touch on another one. Please get it out the door. Yeah. So we can cut it down to 15 seconds and do other things with it. Yeah. But it's about making the community look better. Mm-hmm. So we've crossed over from pure tourism to community marketing. Yeah. We're not walking into the traditional economic development for jobs and stuff. But when you talk about getting people interested in coming here, that fits what we know how to do. Yeah. So there's a massive database we're building. Now we're working on the videos. The chamber's working on theirs. They're doing their niche. Now people are coming to us like, say, hey, we're doing this. We need some good images. Do you now? Good. So now stop using yours. We've got better ones. Yeah. So that we feel that's our responsibility to build that library of it. Yeah. But that's the exciting stuff. It's like we got a whole new wave of creativity with the brand. Now we got the images, we got the videos going with it, but that's our role. So we're like, okay, let's get ahead of it. We know we're going to need this stuff. So Lee, before we wrap up, what's the best way that people can learn more about these experiences that you're offering in Mansfield, Richland County? Oh, that's easy. DestinationMansfield.com. Or if you go looking at all things Shawshank Trail, but you can get to them from our site. Everything branches. Everything goes from DestinationMansfield.com. Yes. Right. Very good. Lee, thank you so much for making the trip to Spire today and sitting down and talking with me and everything that you do to promote our region. Sure. Happy to be here and happy to wander down memory lane for some of the stuff I hadn't thought of in a while.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Savvy Marketer. Every episode, we're going to share stories and ideas that help savvy marketers build stronger teams and plan smarter strategies. If your wheels are turning or if you enjoyed the stories that we shared, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with other people who need to see it as well. Every episode of The Savvy Marketer is brought to you by Spire. We're an Ohio-based marketing agency. We help you sharpen your strategy, get it done, and make your marketing hum. Take your marketing higher with Spire. Thanks for watching.